Okay, so this is episode 2. We're going to be talking about basic movement in this episode. Alright, so to start off, one of the most basic things that your character is going to do is run around. So, here, move Sheik over to the side. Is run around. And so, when you're moving your character horizontally on the ground, you can do 3 main options. Well, 2. And the first one is walk forward. You do that by nudging the control stick to the left or right, like this, and your character will move at a speed proportional to how far you're tilting your control stick. So the farther you tilt your control stick, the faster you'll walk. And so out of this, well, you can do basically anything. You can do jab, down tilt, smash attacks, like that. Yeah, you can jump and stuff, and so that's all fine and dandy. But what if you want to move faster? Well, then you can do what's called, you can tap your control stick to the right or left. Tapping is just pressing it hard in that direction. And you can do your dash and run. So the difference between dashing and running is that when you tap your control stick forward, there will be an initial animation that you go through. That's called your dash. That's what Sam is doing right now. He's Black Pit. And so you can find the length of your animation. This will be important later. You can find the length of your animation by quickly tapping your control stick to the right or left and then returning it to the neutral position, like this. And so beyond that point, after you've run past that point, you go into what's called your run. It's a full run, and it has limited options out of that. While you're walking, you can do basically anything, but while you're running, you can do basically 5 things. So what you can do when you're running is you can shield, you can jump, you can do your dash attack, or you can grab, like that. Or you can do crouch. And so this will be useful as part of your character's sort of main mode of like physically going forward and approaching your opponent. And so when you're dashing, the initial animation of like running forward, you have a different set of options. You can basically do the same physical things as your full run animation, with the added benefit of being able to quickly press in the other direction and reverse your momentum and cancel your dash animation into another dash animation that's going in the different direction, in the opposite direction, like this. And so different characters will have different lengths of initial run or initial dash animations.
So in this example, Pit has one of the longest dash dances, along with, I guess, Marth, if you're going to show him.
Right.
So, like, I can go, you see how far he leaps. Like, I have complete control for this whole thing. And now, if I go to a character like Sheik, who is this one, corner, Sheik has to go has a lot, and a very short dash animation, so I have to do this a lot. And it's not very efficient or effective at a lot of things. So Sheik has one of the worst dashes in the game because it's so short, and it's pretty hard to do this consistently, actually. It's pretty tiring. And yeah, as opposed to like the 2 over here, they're way better at that.
Okay, so now we're going to be talking about more options on the ground that some characters have. So some characters, among them, the 4 you see here, can crouch on the ground and then tilt their stick to the left or right to about the 45-degree angle below horizontal on either side. And what they'll do is a crawl. And one thing you'll notice about all of these is that the character models will have a reduced height. So what that means is, say you have like a Falco shooting lasers at you, you can crawl and like move forward and like sort of duck under the lasers while still advancing on your position. And so it's important for that. some characters like Samus and Squirtle have really abusable crawls because they get so low to the ground. So that's important.
Sure attack.
Right, and so some of the characters that have crawls also have what are called crawl tilts or crawl attacks. And so while you're crawling forward, you can press A, and you'll get a special attack that you can only get by crawling forward. So Diddy and Samus don't have crawl attacks.
No, Samus does.
Or sorry, I meant Sheik.
Yeah. Diddy and Sheik do not have crawl attacks. Samus does.
Yeah, Samus does. And so does Squirtle. And so these attacks will have special properties. You can see, yeah, and these are distinct from what you get by either moving backward and pressing A, which is just regular down tilt, or just crouching and pressing A, which is also down tilt.
Oh. I love how the screen followed me for like a minute, just juggling.
Okay, so we're back, and now we're going to be talking about aerial movement.
I've gotten too good at that. Okay.
Alright, so we're talking about aerial movement now.
Okay, so when characters would jump out of their dash, they have two different things, or they have, like, certain characters will transfer their speed better. Someone like Luigi is one of the worst in the game, where he doesn't go very far. And then, as opposed to one of the best ones in the game, which is Falcon, who jumps and he jumps ridiculously far because he has a really good rate of he transfers the best of almost all the characters. So it's just I don't really know what else to say about that, but there's just knowing that like when you're dashing as Luigi, you can't go very far, and when you're dashing as Falcon, you can kind of just go across the stage in like half a second because when he jumps, it's just a really good jump out of dash.
Right. And in addition to that, I'm going to talk about like sort of the different ways that characters can jump. And so certain characters like Mewtwo or Peach will have what's called a float. And so this is a special like mode of moving around in the air. So what you do is you do a jump and you can hold your jump button and then move on the control stick. So Mewtwo's is where you can float around, but Peach's is where you can float around, but like only horizontally, sort of like that. What else? Something else you can do is you can crouch and like hold down when you jump, and that'll activate your float instantly for the moment you leave the ground.
Yeah. And so moving on, characters have two forms of jumps, I guess you could say, a short hop and a normal jump. No
Wait, do you want to switch over to Falco Fox?
Should we switch over to Falco?
Yeah. Alright, so now we're going to talk about more ways that each character can jump. So, while you're jumping, you may notice that if you jump and you hold down the jump button, your character will jump higher than if you just press it quickly like this. So, when you hold down your jump button, that's called a full hop, and when you kind of just quickly press it like this...
Probably most noticeable with Falco.
Right. When your character jumps a shorter height, it's called a short hop.
Yeah, so this is Falco's short hop, is most noticeable with him. He's jumping barely gets above, he doesn't even get above the platform at all. Then if you do a full hop, which is holding it down, he goes way above the platform. It's just two different ways that you can jump. It's really effective. It's just really good to know how to do this.
Right, and so we're going to be explaining sort of the mechanics behind this. Basically, if you look at Fox for a second, I'm going to turn on debug mode and go into frame advance. So right now, we're in debug mode, and I'm going to jump right now. And so as we sort of frame advance through this animation, you can see that he squats down before straightening up and leaving the ground like this.
It's 3 frames.
Right. And so during the time that he's on the ground, that's what's called your jump squat frames. And so if you want a short hop, you quickly press jump and then release it before this animation is over, and you'll do a shorter hop into the air.
Okay, and then with Wolf's is a little bit longer. How do you advance frame by frame again?
Z.
Z. So it's. Do it. I'm not good with the.
Right, and so different characters will have different lengths of like jump squat frames, a different number of jump squat frames, which makes jumping with each of them which makes which makes jumping with each of them kind of different. So you can see that it takes a slightly longer number of frames for Wolf to leave the ground than Fox. Whereas Fox had like 3 frames on the ground, Wolf has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames on the ground.
And then if you want to show off Falco, who has not the longest, but of the species of these 3 has the longest and probably most noticeable jump squat.
Right. So jumping now. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames on the ground. And so what that means is that with Falco, you'll have a wider window to let go of your jump button and still get the short hop. So with Falco, when you try short hopping, you'll be able to do it at first very consistently because of that extended window. But with Fox, he's known for being a little bit harder to short hop with because sometimes you'll get your finger won't be fast enough and you won't let go of your jump button before the frame window is over.
So note, when we say frames, for Super Smash Bros., for all the Smash Bros. Games, they run at 60 frames a second. So that means that the screen refreshes like 60 times in a second. So that means each frame is 1/60th of a second. So Fox's jump squat is a 20th of a second, which is just something to note that these windows are really small, but as you work on them more and more and you practice it, you can consistently get them, but it's going to take some time because of how quick it actually is. So it's just something that if you don't get it first or you're not very consistent, it's just something that everyone kind of struggles with because of how short the window is.
Right.
Alright, take a little break.
Alright, so now we're going to talk about sort of some mechanics you can take advantage of while you're in the air. Now you notice that while your character is jumping, when your character reaches his max height, that's called the apex of your jump. And so you'll notice after the apex, you can press down and fall slightly faster than you would if you had just sort of not pressed down. So right now, I'm going to not press down. You can see the length of time that it takes for me to return back to the ground. But now I'm going to fast fall, press down on the control stick after the apex of my jump, and you can see that it takes a shorter amount of time for me to land back to the ground. And so this is going to be important a little bit later on when we talk about some of the more advanced stuff that you'll be able to do. But this will be useful for comboing in the future. You can return back to the ground so you can jump back up and hit your opponent with another aerial. Or it'll be useful for like when you're being comboed and like you'll be up in the air, you can press down on the ground to get back onto the stage and be able to get back on your feet and sort of reverse the situation. Alright, so now we're going to talk about what's called a reverse aerial rush, or RAR, or RAR. And so what that basically is when you go into your full run animation, in reverse direction, you'll notice that there's sort of like a period where your model skids, like that, like with Mario. And so if you jump out of that, then what happens is you'll retain your forward momentum from your jump, while also facing backward. And so this is important for characters who have really good backwards facing aerials or bairs.
Like Ivysaur.
Like Ivysaur. And so this is useful for like physically running up to approach your opponent with that move.
Because in general, it's not true for everyone, but back air for a lot of characters is one of their best moves, whether it be by spacing or power or anything like that. It's just a good move in general. So if you can easily get that move out in front of you, it's a really good option. Not always, but it is definitely very good when you need it.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about an interesting option that some characters have when like confronted with like a flat horizontal or flat vertical surface. And that's what's called a wall jump or a wall climb. Right? So some characters, all the ones seen here, but
Also including Sheik.
yeah,
As far
you know,
as we know.
some others on the roster as well. They can jump towards a wall and quickly press away from the wall to do what's called a wall jump, like that. And so Diddy can do it, Fox can do it, Squirtle can do it, Mario can do it, and of course others. And so this will be useful for like mixing up your recovery when you're recovering low. And say somebody's like charging a smash attack at the ledge. What you can do is you can kind of wall jump down there to stall your recovery and let them, you know, like throw out the smash attack and not get hit by it while you can still come back up.
And so it's gonna be true for almost everything, but there are some character-specific things you can do with it. Like with Mario, you can up B and then wall jump if you're in a wall. It's a little bit hard to do. I don't play Mario too often, so I can't get this consistently. But with every character, you can look up how to do maybe some of their special things like this, which is just a useful recovery option. I got it the first time, but
Yeah, he was doing it earlier. If you go back in the video, you can see him do it.
there you go.
Yeah, there we go. So
And it's just another mix-up to your recovery, you know. It's another way to recover, and you obviously up B, wall jump up B, that's a lot of like vertical or horizontal like space you cover. So it's really good at recovering just in general.
Right. And out of this set of characters that can wall jump, some can do what's called the wall cling, where instead of pressing away from the wall, you can keep holding towards it and stick to the wall at that position. So among those are Squirtle and Diddy, also Sheik and Lucario. Just go through the character roster and try that. So this is also just an option to mix up your recovery in sort of the same way as wall jump, but for a longer time.